30 seconds and counting. T-
Hey, what's good, yo? Welcome back to another video. It's Anish. I'm joined with Drew, and the Texans have requested permission to interview Eagles defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon for the head coach job, and he's already been requested to interview for 3 head coach vacancies. Obviously, us, the Broncos, and then the Vikings. And the Eagles' defense in 2021 under Jonathan Gannon has been pretty remarkable from the stats perspective. He's 10th in total defense, 11th in passing defense, 9th in rushing defense. But when you look closer, when you look at against his defense against playoffs teams, he's there. The Eagles are 0-7, and points allowed in the last 2 games has been 82. So it seems like his defense at the beginning of the season wasn't too stellar. A lot of Eagles fans hated him because he ran a bend don't break kind of defense, something we've seen from the likes of Romeo Crennel. So he leaves a lot of separation between his DBs and his cornerbacks. So a lot of Eagles fans are mad that he leaves so much cushion between the two. And they also cite his lack of creative play calling on the defensive side. But there's a stat from week 8 onwards until December 27th. The Eagles had the number 1 defense in points allowed in the NFC, although their competition in from week 8 onwards wasn't the greatest. So that's something to take note of, but there is a lot of question marks because a lot of Eagles fans want him gone. So that is pretty concerning. And just like from his coaching experience, he was the Falcons defensive quality control coach, Titans defensive quality control coach, Vikings assistant defensive backs coach from 2014 to 2017, Colts defensive backs coach from 2018 to 2020, and now he was the current Eagles defensive coordinator. And he also worked as a college scout and a pro scout for the Rams. So kind of interesting resume. But what do you think about this like potential hire?
It's certainly a hire that would be out of the box. Jonathan Gannon was kind of a guy who just came up this season. Previously, working with the Colts under Matt Eberflus, a guy who the Texans did interview last year. So you can see why the Texans may be interested in a guy like Jonathan Gannon. He also worked in the front office, similar to Brian Flores, who also worked in the front office. So really, it's just a different kind of hire. Of course, this one doesn't seem as crazy because he's also going to be interviewed or has already interviewed with the Broncos and the Vikings. But what really concerns me is that him, his defense, and the Eagles as a whole weren't able to be a single team in the playoffs. Certainly, you can attribute that to their offense, as you saw in the Buccaneers game, wasn't very good at all. And then the Cowboys game, most of their offensive players weren't even playing in that game at all. But otherwise, I can only imagine the PR mess that would result from Jonathan Gannon being hired as the head coach of the Texans. But I just want to read you guys a couple positive things about Jonathan Gannon. A guy from Indy said that he knows Jonathan Gannon really well. He's a real straight shooter, tough guy persona, has some Mike Vrabel type qualities, and he was a former scout. So guys have liked that part of his resume and bringing a building together. And also, Jonathan Gannon has a lot of connections, including Bobby Petrino, because he previously worked at Louisville in 2003. So Jonathan Gannon's been coaching for a long time, and he's only 39 years old. He has connection to Steve Spagnuolo, the Chiefs defensive coordinator, Mike Munchak, the Steelers offensive line coach, which could be a pretty big addition, possible assistant coach. Mike Zimmer could be his defensive coordinator. He has connections with them from the Vikings, whatever their connections were from the past. Mike Zimmer, the former head coach of the Vikings, and he also coached with Frank Reich at Indianapolis. And then Jonathan Gannon is kind of similar to Brandon Staley, the Chargers head coach who was hired last year. They're both pretty analytical guys, but they're also best friends. They're both in each other's wedding, and Gannon is the godfather of Brandon Staley's son. So you can kind of see that Nick Caserio has a little bit of a type here. Both pretty analytical guys, young guys that have worked in the front office. Nick Caserio does not want to make the same mistake as last time So Jonathan Gannon may not seem like the right hire. He may not even be a good hire, but it would definitely be an interesting hire. But it would have to grow on me and the rest of the fan base.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about him. I think I need to do more research myself, but it seems like he's also been cited to be like a player's coach. Apparently, he had an incredible handshake with Anthony Harris, a player, and he seems to be more of like a player's first kind of coach. So it seems like that's kind of like the trend around the league. Like a lot of teams want that kind of guy. So very interesting prospect. And as far as like interviews go, interviews shouldn't be something we should definitely like overreact about. Like because sometimes like teams just want to interview people just to learn different things about like just hear different opinions, different minds, different ideas around around the league. And Nick Casario is gonna run like a detailed head coaching search. So, I mean, we don't know if these interviews are like any like for real, like, oh, we're seriously considering you, or we're just like wanting to learn more about you, and like kind of keep a tab on you maybe, like probably in the future or something. I don't know if it's something like that, but definitely an interesting hire, like Drew said, if it were to happen. But that's pretty much it for the video. Let us know your thoughts on Jonathan Gannon. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Thank y'all for watching. Peace.